Hi, I'm Pastor Tim Olson, the Director of Christian Ministries here at Elim Park. The humble beginnings of our forebears, trusting God and having great courage and stepping out in faith, is part of a history that we're trying to continue here at Elim Park, the culture that we're launching. It begins long ago, and we know that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We're trusting Him that we'll join together to provide the future at Elim Park. So I invite you to join with me as we look at the history of Elim Park. The idea of Elim Park was inspired at the First Swedish Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, when a group of parishioners gathered to discuss plans to open a home in the country, an oasis for summer guests. The name Elim, according to the Hebrew Bible, was one of the places where the Israelites camped following their exodus from Egypt. After looking at several possible sites for this country oasis, a 12-room farmhouse on 80 acres in Shelton, Connecticut, with one bathroom and a functioning well was selected. The property included barns, some tillable land, and a forest of chestnut trees situated along the Housatonic River. A trolley ran through the property, making it readily accessible to Bridgeport and Derby. In 1907, the property was purchased for $10,000, $7,000 of which was mortgaged, and the Elim Park Swedish Baptist Home of Rest was dedicated and opened. Miss Mary Melby, a Swedish immigrant who served as a missionary to fellow Scandinavian immigrants in New York, came to help with cleaning and getting the home in order. That summer, 140 guests stayed at the home, coming from churches in New York City, Bridgeport, Hartford, New Britain, Brooklyn, Montclair, and Newark. Miss Mary Melby served voluntarily as the first superintendent without pay. Although organized originally as a rest home, in 1908 the name was combined with Home for the Aged, which necessitated adding to Elim Park's facilities. To accommodate elder residents, a new 3-story building with a basement was constructed and opened in 1910. The farmhouse also was renovated and continued to welcome summer guests, young and old. Miss Mary Melby continued to supervise both properties without pay. During this time, however, the Board of Managers voted to give her a year's salary. But in turn, she donated the money back to Elim Park and asked that the funds be used to install a bathroom on the 3rd floor. With a strong faith in God and much prayer, the years went by and the mission of Elim Park went on, although the road was not an easy one. There were constant financial struggles to pay the expenses, along with endless upkeep of maintaining the buildings and running a working farm. Mary Melby herself, besides her many duties, she traveled to several churches, representing Elim Park to request support. She served as superintendent until 1921 and lived at the home until her passing in 1925. In 1926, because so many of the residents were unable to care for themselves, Elim Park hired its first nurse. Over time, additions were made to the old house for new bedrooms and bathrooms, and the dining room was enlarged to accommodate summer guests. Several small cottages and 2 dormitories were built for youth assemblies with boys and girls camps. Over time, Elim Park would be guided by new leaders and staff, also called by a higher purpose in serving others. Their efforts sparked a new inspiration to build a more modern home for Elim Park. After much searching, in 1957, land was purchased in Cheshire, Connecticut, and the property in Shelton was to be sold. But the deal fell through, and finding a new buyer was delayed several years. After the groundbreaking ceremony in 1958, efforts to obtain a bank loan for the new building in Cheshire brought no immediate results. A desperate situation arose. Board members, along with other individuals and churches, they made personal loans to enable Elim Park to move forward. They risked their own financial well-being for Elim Park's future because they held fast an unshakable faith in its mission and purpose in providing care to those in need. In 1958, 51 years after its founding, Elim Park Baptist Home in Cheshire welcomed its first residents. We have indeed grown since our humble beginnings well over a century ago. Elim Park today is a thriving life plan community for people aged 62 and older, offering independent living neighborhoods, assisted living services, inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation, and skilled nursing care and a residential care home all on one campus. We offer unmatched amenities, including a fitness and wellness center, Nelson Hall Theater, and an arts and leisure center that continue to redefine senior living as we know it today. But let us never forget that our success in this ever-changing field of senior living and healthcare, it stands on the shoulders of all those who came before us. If they could only see the beautiful and expansive oasis that Elim Park has grown into, their hearts would no doubt be overflowing with pride and joy. Because of their faith, sacrifice, and perseverance, we now have the privilege of continuing this important mission.